Coming up on today's show, we're going to catch you up to speed on a couple of top 30 visits the Seahawks had over the past weekend with Bo Nix, the Oregon quarterback, as well as Theo Johnson, Penn State tight end. We'll look over both of those players and the ideas of potentially drafting them here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Glad to be back, fresh off vacation, and I'm not going anywhere, folks. And I don't want you to be going anywhere either. I want to make sure you subscribe to the channel for the latest happenings on your favorite team as we count you down towards the draft here in just a couple weeks from right now. Our next milestone getting very, very close, 51.5 thousand subscribers. We are just over 100 away from reaching that next mark. Join the family. Never miss a moment. We are your draft headquarters right here on Seattle Seahawks Today. Subscribe now. We'll get started with today's show. Bo Nix, the Oregon Ducks quarterback, spent a visit to Seattle this past weekend where he met with the Seahawks as they discussed the possibility of drafting the nation's most accurate passer this season in all of college football. And you look at the Seahawks quarterback situation, you have Geno Smith coming back, you bring in Sam Howell, but could there be an opening to bring in a young quarterback like a Bo Nix potentially? Joey Harrington, a former NFL quarterback, played for the Oregon Ducks. He's seen Bo Nix quite a bit. He was on Seattle Sports Radio just yesterday, and he had this to say about Bo Nix. It's really interesting. People have asked me who he reminds me of professionally, and the name I think of a lot is Russell Wilson. Nix is a good athlete, very smart, great worker, not a huge physical specimen, but God does he throw a great deep ball down the field right there. He is a tremendous deep ball passer. He can make every throw on the field and actually push the ball down the field quite a bit. Yeah, he was incredibly accurate in the short-range stuff, but he throws the mid-range ball very well. Now, I'll say this. I really liked what I saw from Bo Nix the last couple of seasons with the Oregon Ducks. But think about this, okay? In college football, from the COVID-19 pandemic, guys were given the COVID year, an extra eligibility, right? And Bo Nix started his career with Auburn, playing in the Southeastern Conference, the toughest conference in the country, against some elite defenses. And he was very inconsistent. He struggled a lot with Auburn prior to going to Oregon. And for me, as a college football fan who has seen a lot of Bo Nix, I can't erase that from my memory. I know that he looked good at Oregon, but part of me still thinks that deep down, Bo Nix is the same quarterback that he was with the Auburn Tigers. That is the hesitation for me when it comes to the idea of drafting Bo Nix. You look at the resume, and he was great with Oregon this past year. Won the Pac-12's Offensive Player of the Year award, first-team All-Pac-12 selection with the Oregon Ducks. And, I mean, this team was really good. They were very close to making the college football playoff, ultimately lost to Washington and Michael Penix Jr. in the Pac-12 title game. Their only two losses last year were to the Washington Huskies. But here's what I'm talking about is comparing Bo Nix from what we saw recently to what he was at Auburn just a couple of years ago. You can see the numbers with Auburn were not great. 15 touchdowns in 2021 compared to 19 touchdowns in 2020. He regressed when he was with Auburn, goes to Oregon in a more quarterback-friendly system, and put up some great numbers with the Ducks. Now, you heard the comparison. Joey Harrington said that he's similar to Russell Wilson in that sense. But the thing that was so great for the Seahawks when it came to Russ was he was a third-round pick, right? Bo Nix, I would be surprised if he falls all the way to the third round. He's projected to go anywhere between the first and second round. So for me, that's just a little bit too high when it comes to the idea of picking Bo Nix as far as I'm concerned. Here's the scouting report. Very good athlete. Bo Nix is very athletic. He has creation outside the pocket, certainly displays those abilities. A reliable, quick game operator, has the ability to layer throws, and the big knock on him of sorts is the inconsistent toughness in the pocket. Can he withstand when pressure comes his way? That was something that he struggled with throughout his college career. So let's ask you now, should the Seahawks draft Bo Nix? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let us know on our pinned comment today. I'm voting no on Bo Nix personally, but let me know what you think. Y for yes, in for no. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. I got to tell you, I really love Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose two of our players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking rebounds in basketball, home runs in baseball, maybe it's fantasy points in NASCAR. All sorts of different categories to choose from that you can mix and match. The Masters coming up this week. I'm a big golf guy. And here's what I got for the Masters coming up on Thursday, the opening round. I got Phil Mickelson to have less than 2.5 birdies. And then I'm going with my guy, Victor Hovland, to have more than 3.5 birdies on Thursday. Let's say I put $20 down and both those hit. That's turning into $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for that $100 deposit match. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of Seahawks Today. Another top 30 visit the Seahawks had over the weekend was with Theo Johnson, the tight end from Penn State. And you look at the Seahawks tight end situation. You have Noah Fant there, obviously, but the Seahawks are looking for another receiving tight end to potentially go along with Noah Fant for what they want to do with 12 personnel, some two tight end sets to have double threats, right? Going to be different than what we saw in the previous regime where the tight end position was kind of ignored in the passing game. Probably not going to be able to get Brock Bowers where the Seahawks pick at 16, so some other options potentially might be a guy like Theo Johnson. Lee Val, the 12th man rising, had this to say. Johnson, though, won't be drafted high in the draft, and Seattle might be able to take him in the 4th round. He is a poor route runner and not a good blocker. He has the size and strength to be so, but does he have the drive to be? That is maybe what the Seahawks are trying to find out on Johnson's visit. Still, if he can hone his raw physical traits, he can be a threat in the passing game. The team might be able to mold him into a better blocker, too. Plus, he won't cost Seattle a first-round choice like Brock Bowers would. Now, I don't know if Johnson is the right solution, but I do think the Seahawks need to draft a tight end to play alongside Noah Fant. I don't think that is something that the Seahawks should take lightly, that they need to address this. This is something that they cannot ignore. They need a young tight end to play alongside and really stretch out the passing game. You look at Theo Johnson. This is somebody that we mentioned played for Penn State, honorable mention in the Big Ten back in 2023. And Mel Kiper has him as the number 3 tight end on his big board, number 4 tight end, rather, on his big board. Here's where I have some hesitation. The numbers weren't that great for Theo Johnson there at Penn State. You're kind of going with if you bring him in on the raw ability, right? Because the numbers weren't necessarily there when it came to yardage, right? 341 yards off of 34 catches. He was a touchdown machine, though. 7 touchdowns in 13 games played this past season there with the Nittany Lions. The scouting report, a well-built frame. He certainly looks the part when it comes to the tight end position. Good hands as a route runner, although not a great route runner, though. Good lateral explosion, very good blocking ability, and that's the thing, ability, right? He can turn into that. He does show a little sluggishness out of his stance at times, too, so something to monitor as far as that goes. So let's ask you, should the Seahawks draft Theo Johnson? What do you think about the idea of bringing Theo Johnson to Seattle? Type D for draft, P for pass. Way in the comment section, let us know what you think. Appreciate you joining us here on Seahawks Today. Always good to be talking to the 12s and be back on the show fresh off vacay. Subscribe now. We are ramping up the draft coverage over the next couple of weeks. Lock us in, and we'll see you next time here on Seahawks.